Going live. We're live.
We are live right now, live and ready to go.
We're doing it.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's see. I guess we can give people a few seconds to populate the room and
Sounds like a game plan to me.
get them going, and make sure everybody's
You
ready
bet.
to go.
Here we go. Fire up the AirPods just so I don't end up with any. Oh.
Perfect. I got a few people running in the room real quick. It's on
I
my
love
other
it.
on my other device. Is actually showing me an advertisement.
Oh, good. We're getting the pre-roll. Looks like we got Dimitri from Berlin. Keeping it real is in the house. She's been killing it over on TikTok. You been using TikTok at all, Ty?
I am on TikTok a little bit.
Experimentation.
Just to see how it goes. Just to talk.
We got Paul in the house. Paul from the UK. Love Paul. Paul is going to be taking notes. He says he'll keep track of some of the Q&A if we miss anything. So thanks for that, Paul.
I got a bunch of people coming in. Silver Paul Studios, Elijah, Josh, Timothy. I got a whole bunch of people coming in. So we are live and locked and loaded with everybody.
Loaded. Oh, South Carolina, Dubai. What time is it in Dubai? I gotta think it's an interesting time of day or night there.
Got all my people from Michigan, Dallas. We got a whole lot of people. Gosh. Okay. Well, let's get into it. Let's talk about the project a little bit. Let's talk about what did you enjoy most about it? Let's talk about that.
Well, I would say I enjoyed most was working with you. It was so much fun to create something together because I'm like, I don't know about you, but I'm such a do everything myself and kind of, make it happen that I don't collaborate with a lot of people frequently. So it was such a treat to get your perspective. And I do need to put out there to everybody, this was 100% Ty's idea, as far as the concept of it. I'm trying to remember that first conversation, but you delivered that idea and I was like, oh man, that is brilliant. Where did you come up with the idea, Ty?
Well, I was on your page and it was so much food and I was hungry and I was like, there's a business aspect to this. How can we, and it's funny because I had a video that the name of the video was Stop Taking Pictures of People to take pictures of products so that you can get the attention of clients and customers and get the attention of bigger brands. And it's something that I've been doing for years to kind of get my foot in the door. In fact, I actually walked up to a Red Bull event, and I tell this story all the time, and kind of got hired by those guys simply by just being there. So the digital version of that is the Instagram, doing it with Instagram. And looking at your page and looking at some of the things you did, I was like, man, we can work together perfectly and be able to cover both sides of it, because not only do you have to go into it, thinking about business, you got to be really good at what you do so that the companies can like you and you can stand out and things like that. So I was like, we'll be a perfect match. It'd be a perfect team.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like we really hit it off in that very first conversation because you've got a background in food that you did a lot of work for TGI Fridays back in the day, right?
Correct. Yeah. I did a whole lot of drink photos and drink videos and everything from training to online social media style images, everything. I mean, it's still using images I've taken years ago. It's funny because one of their main images is one I took of a store, which is completely different, almost like architectural photography a little bit. And every time there's an article on TGI Fridays, good or bad, they always throw that image. And I'm like, thank God that TGI Fridays, they took photo credit for it, of course. And I was like, yeah, those guys, that was them. But yeah, they're still using it to this day.
That's crazy. Yeah, it is interesting when old stuff pops up and you're like, oh man, that was a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
I got to think too, TGI Fridays, when we get into the food photography and styling world, I'm very much of the school of using real food, and I don't use a ton of the fake stuff and try to, concoct too much. But I got to think a lot of that kind of higher end advertising work like you were doing, you probably saw some of that crazy food styling shenanigans. Yeah.
Yeah, for any time we did like national advertisements or national marketing, yes, they would use that. But anything for like training or social media, it'll be the real deal. It'll be,
It's the
and then
real
you got to think
deal.
about it. Also, we would capture stuff like they would bring in different steak vendors, and we would capture the video and photos just so they can try out different steaks. And yeah, I got to try out like 20 different steaks at a time just so they can decide on what like meat vendor to go with. So those were always fun. New store openings were always fun. Coming up with new drinks, especially seasonal drinks, alcoholic beverages were always fun. We tried to shoot them like Fridays at like 3 so that once we're done, because we would have to make a drink, 10 times to
Oh
capture
yeah. Oh yeah.
it was one time they had to clap a mint and we had to capture that like 4 times. So we would just make the drink and just sit it off to the side, make it. So by the end of the shoot, I'm like,
You're like, it's
everything's
five
good.
o'clock.
Yeah. Like, and we would, we wouldn't want them to ice to melt. So we would be like, we're done with that one. Yeah, let me take care of that real quick. All right, thanks. And by the end of the shoot, I was shooting in auto. So
It's occupational hazards,
oh,
man.
it was so much. Yeah, it was perfect. It was a lot of fun.
I love it. Well, looks like we got quite a crew in the house here today. Lots of
Oh yeah.
folks turning out. I'm super curious from everybody who's hanging out in the chat today. What were some of those real nuggets that you all got? What were some of the little light bulb moments? Because I don't know about you. I mean, I feel like we got a ton of really positive feedback on this,
Mhm.
Ty. Did you hear a lot of good stuff from people?
I heard a whole lot of good stuff on Instagram. I got so many messages. Hey, big shout out to everybody that sent me a message on Instagram. So
Yeah.
I typically get 30 messages a day. So
Mhm.
forgive me, there's like an autoresponder that's set up because I get so many messages and I want to get back to everybody. But usually I'll go in and still respond because I got a lot of people who are talking about this project. And even as recent as today, when people are like, how did I miss this last week? And let me watch it before you guys go live. So I got a whole lot
That's
of
good.
responses from it. How about yourself?
Yeah, no, definitely. And what I love too were the people who watched the series last week and, the strategies that we talked about as far as like who we selected and how we created the content and, how we reached out and all that sort of process that I heard from a lot of people who have done this same exact process and have had success. Like there were a bunch of success stories popping into my Instagram and up on, on the YouTube comments and everything. It was so encouraging. It's like, I mean, obviously you and we've had a lot of success with this strategy, but then seeing that other people too, like this is something that works for everybody. And so it's for anybody who hasn't tried it out, hopefully this is an encouragement, something that gets some fire under you to get started.
I think another thing that's really important to take away from this is when you get your shoots next to what a company is doing, you will really understand where you may need to improve, looking at what that company is doing and what you're able to create. And then once you create it, you'll know that it's possible for you to shoot on that level. And it's kind of a confidence builder for me to
Sure.
know that I can create content on the level of, a company that's a national company. It says a lot about me and it helps boost my morale and helps boost my need to move forward in the industry. And sometimes your prices go up, the way you feel go up, the way you feel about your brand usually, increases when hey, I can shoot a Coke bottle just as well as the guys Coca-Cola is hiring
That feels
to
so
create
good.
the content. Yeah, it's important.
So good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Looks like we're getting lots of good, let's see. Oh, Christopher Moore. I don't know if we want to pop into Q&A, but Christopher
Yeah, let's
Moore's
go.
got a great question here as far as about the truth in advertising.
Mhm.
That if Breyers, for example, is the client and has to be Breyers product in the shop, right? So this is a great question about when we're using different products in shots. Do you want to speak to that, Ty?
So the question he was asking is Breyers a good brand to go after?
It's more so like if you're going to shoot, like, for example, we shot Pepperidge Farm, like, would it make sense to like throw, some sort of like knockoff brand or different brand of product in there? Cause you can't really tell, like, say, for example, you're shooting Breyers ice cream. Would the actual ice cream need to be Breyers ice cream?
I don't personally think so. I think they would prefer that.
Yeah.
You don't want to, you know, say it's a picture for Kia and we have a Mercedes in it. So I would, I would definitely try to stick to their brand if
Yeah.
possible, because there's a lot of things that brand, that's important to that brand that we may not think about, as far as the color. Just something simple as the color of the product. A lot of companies spend a lot of money getting colors right with foods, with a lot of things, just to be different. So I wouldn't want to throw anything off from what
Yeah.
they're selling. I mean, traditionally vanilla is not the color we usually see it. It's usually a darker, from like a vanilla bean. However, different companies have different color vanillas. There's very light vanilla, there's very yellow vanilla, there's French vanilla. So if I'm shooting ice cream, I want to make sure that I am really spot on with what the company provides.
Agreed. Yeah. And definitely too, when you get into the world of advertising photography, if you are shooting a campaign for Breyers or for any other brand, that the hero in that case does need to be that product. So if they were to come back and hire you from an FCC standpoint,
Yep.
at least here in the US, I'm not sure internationally what the regulations are, but that you may want to use like that fake ice cream or things like that. But if you are actually shooting that it needs to be the real deal. You could use, fake syrup. You could use, all the other peripheral things could be fake, but the actual product, if that's what you're advertising, needs to be the real deal. So great question.
A lot of the viewers here in Texas says it got to be Bluebell or it ain't right. So
Bluebell. Oh, that's good stuff.
One of the questions that came up from Lex Ride Media says, what are your criteria when choosing the right company to try this strategy on? What 5 things do you look for? And I think in the video, we kind of broke down some of the things we look for. But one of the main things that I look for, I may not give you 5, I can definitely give you a few off the top of my head, but one of the main things I look for is they have social media presence, but not an overwhelming amount of social media presence. When I look back at Pepperidge Farm's Instagram page, they haven't posted anything since June. So that's opportunity.
And in social media world, that's like decades ago.
Yes. Yes.
And in 2020 terms, where I feel like we're in a time warp anyway, that feels like forever ago.
So companies that aren't posting a lot will be more than happy, because the problem is they don't have a lot of content. They can't get their hands on a lot of content for whatever reasons, budget reasons, time reasons, whatever. So if you can provide content that's on brand and to the quality they normally, use, they will definitely love to use your stuff. Especially if you're saying, hey, please use my stuff here. Please use it. Just give us photo credit. Go for it. They will do it. So I think that is one of the main things that I look for in a company. And 2, and you can kind of attest to this, is your ability to replicate their style. Like if you can't shoot what they're shooting or stay within their brand, it may not be a good choice for you. And that just may be based on your skills and your abilities, but replicating the brand was a big thing for us.
Yeah, that's why I always love to go after brands. And part of this is maybe, unintentional, but I usually will do this with products that I already use in my own real life. Like I happen to have, this oatmeal brand in my cabinets, and I'm like, hey, I'm already buying it anyway. Let's just take this opportunity. So those have been some great moments as well, and then I know I like the product. I'm going to have fun working with the product. Like there's a genuine enthusiasm there, because sometimes different potential clients will come to me and want me to do their photography. There was an example a couple months back, they own a knives company, which, obviously I use knives in my kitchen. It's an important part of, cooking and the culinary process, but, they wanted this kind of dark and moody and shooting with knives and kind of this very like masculine vibe, which is great and super cool. But I just looked at it and I thought, this is like, I'm not going to have a lot of fun doing this. This is not going to be authentically me. And I'm not going to be the best person for this job. And so I referred that out to another friend who does like top notch, like that kind of style, and ultimately end up with a happier client. And then too, it makes you look good to provide a referral too. I always think that referrals pay dividends in this industry that,
Mhm.
I'm always passing work around. I'm like, it's not really a fit for me. I think that's a helpful thing to do as well.
Yeah, I agree. I do a lot of referrals as well, simply because once you get and I preach this all the time, and once you get in your zone and what you love to do, what you can do well, anything outside of that is just, I'm going to refer you to somebody that's great at it. We can still maintain a great relationship. Me and the person I referred it to maintains a great relationship. And then there usually comes a time where whatever is in my area, they usually need at some point, or they refer me. So it's kind of
Mhm.
a two-way street. So it works perfectly.
Yeah, I've heard some photographers, have said, oh, because I always recommend, like networking with other photographers, getting to know other people who you can pass that work around to when need be. But, that's not going to necessarily be the jive of everybody, because I hear and I know that there are photographers who get really standoffish or feel like super competitive or things like that. And so if that's the case, like, okay, that's fine. But, whenever you can find an opportunity to connect with and collaborate with and get to know other people who you can refer work to, or they can refer work to you. That's always a win-win.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
What other questions you got flying in over there?
I got people are anxious to learn about the results. And
Oh,
I have some that I don't think I've even shared with you on my end from the
no.
business side,
We've
and I'll
both
let
been
you
so
talk
busy this week. We've
more.
been like totally crazy. We haven't even connected. So I'm curious to hear what you've heard on your end.
Okay, okay, we'll go right into that after these. No, I'm joking. Let's go right into it right now. People were like, "Wait a minute." No.
So slick, so slick.
So I was able to reach out to a few different people on LinkedIn, and I went after mostly marketing managers, decision makers on LinkedIn, and shared the pictures with them. And from the feedback that I got is they absolutely loved it. There is a reason they haven't posted since June, with everything that's going on and people being spread out and working from home, and them trying to figure out how to maintain the business and keep things going in a remote state. They just haven't had the time
Mm,
to post as much as they like. So they have not reshared the image yet, but I'm pretty sure it's something that's going to happen
yeah.
fairly soon. They've just been slammed. They've been slammed like everybody else, just in the pandemic, just kind of balancing things. Because I was like, gosh, you guys haven't posted since June. Like,
Yeah. What's going on over
what's
there? But
going
they're
on?
just like everybody trying to figure it out. Well, and two, the content that we created was very holiday specific,
Mhm.
so there's a chance that they're also hanging on to it because I mean, we've just barely scratched the surface of pumpkin spice latte season. So, we haven't quite gotten into the cranberries and holly yet. So,
And the goal is to listen with this content. The goal is to be able to go to the company kind of
mhm.
with a gift. I walk in the door to get your attention with a gift. It's just like I tell people all the time. If you shoot events, if you're a wedding photographer or you're a corporate event photographer, get you a little $10 gift basket and go to an event planner in your area. Walk in with that gift, give it to them, introduce yourself, talk to them, get to know them. It's a way, like an event planner can fill up your calendar just all year long. And if you get two or three that love you, that work with you, that love your work, love your pricing, love your quality, you won't have to spend much in advertising and marketing. If you just, you kind of got to grease those palms a little bit, kind of like the old detective movies where they go ask a guy something. He's like, I don't know. And they pull out like hundreds and they're like, oh, I remember everything now. You kind of got to, work the system that way just a little bit.
It's good old fashioned connecting,
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff that works when connecting with potential new friends and colleagues and the world that we live in, the same rules apply in that same way. That's awesome.
So, a brand of encouragement asks, is it good to switch up the products that you shoot? I do a lot of baby products, but I like shooting shoes. Um, I'll, I'll, I'll let you jump in and tell me what you think. I got my opinion on it, but I'll let you jump in and tell me what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always good, because it sounds like product is your area of focus and expertise. And so, like playing around with it and experimenting with it. But if you find that you have, that there is this wide market and wide ability to really serve that baby market, then like if that's what's working, that's when you take the opportunity to double down. That's what I always that's always my personal approach to any sort of business decisions, is because I know I do as a creative, and I'm sure other people, if you feel this way too, and out in the comments section, that sometimes we get a little bored, right? And you're like, oh, I feel like I've been just doing the same thing over and over again. And then you're like, I want to go run in a completely different direction. But the thing is like, if this is working over here, then that's the opportunity to double down. And that's where people, I think, miss the mark or miss the opportunity to build their business further, is that opportunity to double down on what's working. So, and two, like, especially, I think about the market that I serve as far as food photography, that there are very like specific nuanced things that I know, because I have been doing this kind of work and specifically working with brands in a recipe creation sort of format, that like there are things that I know because I have been doing that work for so long, that somebody who's more of a generalist may not know. And so those are things that I can market as values and distinct advantages in working with me, and why I can charge more premium pricing, because those little details and those nuanced things are going to be handled. That's my opinion. I'd be curious to hear what you think, Ty.
I'm in agreement with you. Like I tell people all the time, like if you're buying paint, if you go to a store that only sells paint, the paint's going to be more expensive than like a Walmart, but you're going to get the best answers and the most knowledgeable help you can possibly get. They're going to be able to mix paints and get colors you could never find other places, compared to Walmart that sells everything. Their paint's going to be a little cheaper. You're probably not going to find people at the desk when you need it. They're not going to have all the answers. They're going to be like, I don't know. We can, compared to if you go to a paint store. So I'd much rather be a paint store where I sell more expensive items. I need to sell fewer. I have, more knowledge than to be the Walmart, of the industry. Lamborghini only sells a couple thousand cars a year, and they make just as much as Ford, that maybe sell hundreds of thousands of cars a year. And I'd much rather deal with a smaller group of clients than to deal with a whole lot of clients that are spending less money, only because time is money. Customer service is something you got to deal with. And you're just stretched thin when you got to deal with 20 customers a month, 20 clients a month on customer service, when you can just deal with 3 that have 3 projects. It's just a whole lot less to deal with. It make life a whole lot easier.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've probably got some content around this on your channel, as far as having a good sense of your own business model. Exactly. Like that idea of, are you going to charge more premium prices for a small number of clients, or are you going to charge, lesser prices for a wider number of people? So I'm sure you've got some content around that on your channel. Yeah.
Yes, I have a ton of content on it. Mark Perez says, Ty, did you talk to him over the phone, email, or social media? Okay, I'm gonna tell you how I got in contact with everybody. LinkedIn. When I searched for the company in LinkedIn, it laid out everybody and email addresses, and I was able to connect with everybody via LinkedIn. Believe it or not.
I tell you, LinkedIn is amazing. And if y'all haven't taken a chance recently, I was going to put together something on this pretty soon, because I'm currently in the process of negotiating a pretty large contract for some photography work with an agency out of LA, clients based in Phoenix, which is why they've reached out to me. And you think, oh, Joni's got this Instagram, and she's got, the YouTube channel and all this other, stuff in terms of online content. They didn't know about any of that. They found me on LinkedIn. So 100%, like those agencies, those art buyers, art directors, people of that like caliber, they're hanging out on LinkedIn. So if you have not updated your LinkedIn in a while, that should be something on your to-do list.
and if you have a business, you want to make sure you have a business page. So not just your personal LinkedIn, but you also have a page for your business. Make sure you do that. Make sure you have a page for your business so that people can find your business as well. And you are the founder, the CEO, the creative director, or whatever you want to label yourself for your brand on your business. Make sure you have that portion set up, because it works both ways.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's such good advice. I feel like we could do like a whole series just on LinkedIn.
That's true. LinkedIn is it's a great it's a whole nother marketing hack. It's a whole nother back door into meeting the people you need to meet or just getting in front of people. Like I said, when you're reaching out to someone, just think if you got an email from someone who wanted to sell you, lawn care, and they just happen to have a picture of your lawn. Maybe that's a little creepy, but you understand what I'm saying. They just happen to have a picture of your lawn. You'd be a little more interested in learning what they have to say. There was a company that that did roof repair or new roofs, and they took a drone and they took like a heat camera, and they would take a picture of every roof and show you hot spots in your roof, and then they would attach this to your door. Hey, we took a picture of your roof. Here are your hot spots. You may want to, look into getting your roof repaired or looked at. It's covered under your insurance. And when I looked at the paper, I was like, oh, what house is, whoa, that's my house. And, that room is pretty hot. And it really opened my eyes into like, maybe I do need to contact these people. Like they've given me a gift. So going the LinkedIn route with the method that we used here is kind of like you're approaching them with the gift. Like I said, it's that same gift basket mentality of, it's like approaching a mentor. Hey, mentor, here's a gift for some knowledge, or, you want to make sure you walk in with something of value to get people's attention. In any, digitally or in person, it helps compared to the 1,000 other people that are trying to get their attention.
Yeah. Well, and, like you found out in your conversation with them, online, that you've found out, okay, they're super busy. They're trying to figure their up from their down. They're in the midst of, everything that's going on. But for sure, once things have settled back down and they have, the people in place again, and they can start working on those strategies again, guess who might be more top of mind than we would have been otherwise?
Right. That's true.
I got a
quick question that you may want to jump into, and I'll jump into as well. Brand of Encouragement says, thank you for your advice. I get companies to send me products for free, but how do I get them to become paying clients, or how do I monetize it?
Mm-hmm. Well, so my question is always, because this is where it's like that tricky trade-off, right? So like, for example, I get emails, and I'm sure lots of y'all out there do too, emails and DMs and messages that say, hey, we love your feed. We love what you do. We'd love to send you some product in exchange for you promoting our thing. And you go, not so much, right? It's a very different ask than us coming up with something creative that we are offering to them. Whereas this particular company has a very specific objective in mind, and they're trying to get free content, so it's like, who's initiating that conversation? And so whenever I am approached by a potential, a brand or a company saying, hey, can we send you something in exchange for a promotion? I say, if I'm interested in the product, I'd say, hey, let's get on a phone call to discuss what you're looking for, what's your ad campaign, what's the game plan, and then I can put together a formal proposal for you. Mm-hmm. And usually that sort of key language in their brain go, oh, okay, yeah, she's not going to do this for free. Sometimes then they just disappear and that solves its problem. Other times they go, okay, great, like let's talk more seriously, and then that is turned into paid work. So if the inbound communications is coming from them and they want something very specific, that's when there's dollar signs attached to it. But I've for sure done situations. There's a cream cheese brand that I've done work with over the years. And I did kind of like what you're suggesting. I reached out, I said, hey, I've really liked your product. Do you want to, send me some, and I'll have some fun with it and create something. And so again, I was initiating that communication and conversation. And then when I created the content online, I shared it on social media, did exactly like Ty and I did in this series. And then maybe a couple months later, then they reached out and said, hey, we've got some photography needs. Can we chat more specifically about that? And that turned into paid work. But so it's always like, if they're trying to milk you for more of the paid stuff, that's when you come back with just a professional answer of saying, hey, let's talk about this so I can understand your needs, so I can provide a proposal. So that's always my personal approach. What's yours, Ty?
There's a few things that I keep in mind when I'm approached, because I get a lot of companies that want me to review ring lights and just stuff that's just like, have no use for this. Two things come to mind. One, is it a product that I could use that I actually like, that I care about, right? That I want to put in front of my audience, and it's something that I really use. I'm not going to talk about nothing that I don't use. I'm not even going to allow them to send it to me. If I don't use it, unless we go into the portion of where we submit a proposal, and then it's kind of like a paid advertisement. But two, you got to look at your audience size. If you have a small audience, if you got 10 people, watching your channel, you may want to do it just to kind of create the content so that you can attract larger companies or larger clients. And just so you can get used to the reviewing of things or using things for a company. It's just something you may want to, get used to doing, especially if you're an influencer, because you're going to get bombarded with people that want you. I get so many people sending me stuff. We'll send you this for free. Bro, I don't need another, this or another that. But if it's something that I actually use, then I'll definitely do a review on it. But when you got an audience size that is great and your audience is growing, you have to go on the business side, and you have to get to the point where you're like, hey, we can send out a proposal. We'd love to talk to you about it. And you got to kind of monetize it that way, and not, because companies will try to take advantage of you based off the product. I've received companies that wanted to send me $3,000-$4,000 products, but if it's not, if it's not something that I actually use or care about, I'm not going to do it. Now, for the record, if Tesla ever wanted to send me a car, I would do 49 videos on
and you'd figure it out.
Tesla, Lamborghini, Mercedes, if you ever need a video.
I love it. Well, I've got a great question coming in from Reese B, kind of on this same sort of conversation. If the brand wants to repost your image but has aggressive usage terms, do you talk to them about it? There's a well-known US brand that has a one-sided usage terms when they approach photographers. And yes, I'm familiar with this. There's a lot of different shenanigans going on in the world of online media and who can share what and content and usage and things like that. I forget exactly, but there is a particular brand, I forget which one, but what they'll do is if they want to repost the image on Instagram, they'll say, hey, can you comment back using this hashtag, which effectively means you're agreeing to our terms and conditions, which include them being able to take that image off of Instagram and post it wherever the heck they want, which is not what we're going for. Because in theory, this is a big brand and there's a lot of licensing potential for the use of that image in bigger venues. So for me, I always am fine with, yes, if you want to repost it on your own Instagram, keep it on the platform, use that however you want. But the second that they want to do like bigger, like use this in an advertising campaign, but I forget which brand it is, but I had posted something, tagged a brand, they had some crazy terms, and I thought, I'm just not comfortable with that. And so I just kind of walked away from it and said, no, I'm not interested at this time. But if it's something that you feel like is going to have a lot of value to you for them to repost that image, then just asking them, hey, is there any sort of flexibility in this? I would say the majority of contracts that I've come across in the last year or two, just in terms of commercial photography work, there's some sort of negotiation in terms of terms, because they are trying to get the absolute most usage on their end, and I'm trying to protect myself as much as possible. And so there's always a negotiation that's going to happen in terms of that usage from that regard. So
for me, the number one thing I love about being a business owner, the number one thing, if people ask me, is it the freedom, the money? Nope. It's the ability to say no. It's the ability to say, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Let me speak to the manager. Hold on, let me go get him. Hi, I'm the manager. No.
What's up? What's up?
Let me get him. Hey, let me speak to the supervisor. No, that is my favorite part about being in the position that I am. And sometimes you don't get good deals. Sometimes you got to look over stuff and you have to say no. You have to get comfortable with saying no. You have to get used to saying no with a smile on your face. I'm kind of like it. I love saying no. I'm so quick to say no. It's, as a parent, you get used to saying no a lot. But that's good training right there. That's really good training. They just, So
No.
you have to do that in the business world as well. And sometimes people will just, they'll try you. They will try you if you're a smaller brand. They will, and you don't want to give up everything. You don't want to give up all of your broadcast rights and licensing rights.
Mm.
It's sometimes it's cool to say no. Just feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah, no, and you'll make mistakes too. I think that's an important part of the process, because ended up looking back at some old contracts for something that I was teaching for a small group about business stuff. And I had pulled up some like contracts from when I first started doing food photography for pay. And I found one because I had shot some stuff for a Marriott. It was Marriott Hotel, and it was their restaurant. And I remember at the time, like, I was just so excited to have the work. And I was like, this is amazing. They're going to pay me money. I mean, and maybe it was only like a couple $100, but I was super jazzed about it. And they had me sign this contract, like, this waiver thing. And I was like, oh, that must be normal, right? And now I look back at that thing. I mean, granted, those images that I shot back then aren't necessarily images that I like would tout around and be super proud of today. I've come a long way since that work. But they have like some crazy usage abilities with those images that I shot for them, because I just didn't pay attention. I wasn't reading between the lines. I didn't know the term work for hire, and, to kind of pay attention to some of the legal aspects of what they're spelling out in these contracts. So if there's any suggestion for any and all of you, is just take the time to read the details. If you don't understand something, ask other photographers, connect with other people. There's, a lot of this language becomes very similar in the industry. And at a certain point too, as the financial ante gets leveled up, having legal counsel, somebody that you can send a contract to look over it and to have your best interest in mind so that you aren't taken advantage of.
For me, and it's something that as you grow in this industry, there's 3 companies that I work for, and they're the reason behind why I created my own contract. Best Western had a contract that was like, what?
Really?
Samsung and Verizon are 3 companies that I work for that hit me with a contract that was, you couldn't even talk about it. Like it was so, like, the contract I got from Samsung was like, it took time to download. Like, that's how thick it was.
Painful.
I was like, what? It was, it had an NDA, it had everything. So now I present my contract to clients. Like, yeah, okay. And then let them take that to their lawyer. And then we can, we can meet somewhere in the middle. But if you don't have that type of bargaining power, like if you don't have the ability to say, this is okay, this is not, this is okay, here's our contract. You make sure you sign that as well. And, we'll go from there. You will be lost. It's kind of like being a music artist, and you get your first deal and you just sign it and get the money, and you don't realize that you're being, you're just, the things aren't in your favor. So make sure you have someone that you can take a contract that you receive to look over. There's some online legal websites and some local, flat rate programs that may work in your area where you can pay a flat rate to get legal advice. I don't know how fast the turnaround time is, but you want to make sure you protect yourself, legally, because you may think you're doing pictures for an event, and you may see your pictures on a huge board at NAB or some other event, and you don't remember authorizing it, but they have the ability to do whatever they want with the images because you didn't read the small print.
That's like the time I was sitting in traffic and a city bus pulls up, and all of a sudden I look at it, the advertisements on the side of the city bus, and I look at it, I was like, I took that picture. And I did not authorize usage of it. But again, I didn't have all the contracts in place. But you sell contracts. You have contracts on your website, right, Ty?
Yeah, we have a whole contract packed for each different type of niche, and we pretty much just got with different people and asked them about, what are you having a problem with? Like, we don't want to do the generic ones you find on a lot of websites. We want to know specifically, what do you have a problem with? And I know it was funny. I did wedding photography for a long time, and it was certain stuff that I wanted to make sure that was in the contract. Like, hey, if I'm here for 8 hours, you got to feed me, or I'm stopping and I'm going to McDonald's in the middle of your wedding. Or if you're going to, here in Texas, At the end of weddings, they don't just throw rice. They like to shoot guns. If I'm a drone operator or I have my crew on staff, I don't know about that. Like, I don't want to have my crew out there. So I started developing contracts that are specific for each different niche, that have a whole lot of different clauses that you may not find in traditional contracts, like the uncle clause. If you got somebody that keeps talking to me about photography stuff and I'm trying to capture this wedding, like, bro, come get your uncle. You want to ask me about lenses and all of that? I'm gonna give you 2 strikes to get your uncle. And if not, I'm packing up, or just because you get people that just want to, hey, that's the new 70 to 200 f2.8 with the, yes sir it is. Do you got the, sir? I'm I'm working. Right? So you got to have stuff like that to make sure you include in the contract to protect yourself, depending on whatever niche you're in, because you would be shocked at some of
the
the
Texas clause, man. I would have never have thought of that.
Yeah. I mean, even if you got fireworks, what if you're doing a wedding, you got fireworks? If I got a drone, I need to know about that. I'm flying my drone in and you guys are just, fireworks everywhere. Or if I have a video team and my team, I like to keep my team protected. I'm a veteran, right? Veterans react differently to fireworks due to PTSD and things like that. I need to know about that. If I have, other veterans on staff and you guys are going to be shooting rockets, I myself and other veterans may want to be like, yo, we just need to know about it. So there's things that are in each contract that works in that favor. Even like real estate contracts, a lot of people shoot new construction and a lot of houses don't have power. How can I create content in a house that don't have power? So you have to provide that. Just little stuff like that are each one based off talking and working with different people in the industry. So you want to make sure that your contract game is right, because a lot of people think that these customers need your raw files to go out and do all this crazy stuff or have your picture on the side of a billboard, and they don't. Yeah, they can do it with just a JPEG. So.
Yeah, no, it's pretty incredible. So if people wanted to check out the contracts you have, where is that?
Flashfilmacademy.com.
It's the website. Bookmark it, y'all.
There you go. Real quick, I have a quick question. Which Ray Vans Visual says, should you have a DBA and LLC to hand out contracts? So I personally would have an LLC. I wouldn't have a DBA unless you have a DBA for the LLC. But you want to have an LLC. You want to make sure your business is separate from yourself. Because if something happened, if somebody trips over your wireless cable to connect your flash to your camera and they trip and fall and they take you to court, you do not want people showing up at your door to get your furniture and your wife's ring. You want to make sure it's separate. It's a different business to protect yourself.
Yeah, that's mainly too. Also, because we are not lawyers, we are not tax accountants. There are a lot of things that Ty and I are not, but for sure, seeking out some professional legal advice, as well as just like the tax implications of the different classifications of businesses. What's the impact in terms of earning ratios and things like that. So if you haven't already and you're getting to that point, it'd be pretty advisable to reach out to a tax accountant as well, or some sort of specialist in that arena to advise on your very specific particulars would be helpful.
And it's impossible for us to give you that information because we have viewers who are in different countries, counties, cities, states, and things are just completely different from one county to the next. It's just difficult for us to give you accurate information in your area. I mean, I don't want to tell you how things are here in Dallas, and you may be in Pennsylvania somewhere and it is a federal crime. You know what I mean? It's a felony to do something that's totally legal here. And I just, to avoid that, we just encourage you to look locally and find someone who specializes in that. Yeah.
Good questions. Let's see. Geo Cooks. Geo wants to know, what if everything I've learned in the past year came 60% from YouTube, 40% intuition? I believe I'm good at it, but what if I don't have a diploma or a certification? I'm assuming, Geo, you're talking about a degree or diploma in photography, correct? I think that's what he's looking at. Do you have a degree in photography, Ty?
My background is in digital cinematography, but oh man, I love this question. Hold on, let me jump
here
in
he
on
goes.
this. Let me jump in on this one. Okay, listen. what's the nicest way to say that a photography degree is? It's a
Oh,
nice. It's a nice to have. Okay,
yes.
let me tell you my story. I went to school for digital cinematography. I'm not going to name the school that's located in Winter Park, Florida. I won't do it. Even though they charge you a whole lot of money and they send you a laptop and a camera, I won't do it. Even though it has something to do, it sounds like it has something to do with boats. I won't do it. However, there's other ways to spend that $90,000, $60,000 in school to learn how to do this. I'm not going to knock it, but I think there's other ways to do it. There's so many other ways, so many less expensive ways to be successful in this industry. Do not let a piece of paper in a frame determine your altitude or determine where you can go in this industry. I've never had a client ever ask me for, let me see your degree, and no, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So that's the nicest way I can put it. Without, because that's my favorite. That's one of my favorite.
That's
questions.
your favorite question.
Oh my God, I love it. Yes, one day but no. I've met some people who've had degrees in photography that were great photographers. I'm not taking that from it. I think places like the art institutes, and they teach great things. But if you're going to a traditional 4-year college where you're spending 2 years on regular classes and 2 years in photography, no. I learned photography in the military. They had a photography course and a videography course. It took about a year because it's a lot to grasp. And most of it was really understanding what the military wanted from their photographers, not just composition, lighting, exposure. It was what they wanted, what could be used by the military, and what they were like, yo, we can't have you photoshopping missiles in the background. It's not going to happen. Like, don't do that. So, but photography itself can be learned on your own. I would be careful, and it's going to be weird coming from somebody on YouTube, but I would be careful with a lot of YouTube tutorials. I would go, and I don't have a course, so I'm still being honest with you. I would go get a paid course on photography to help you learn how to do it. Because sometimes when you go on YouTube and you're learning from like a 13-year-old, you pick up their bad habits. And you want to make sure you learn from somebody that's in your niche, that has an experience doing it, and that can really show you how to do it.
Yeah. Well, and I had a live stream this last week before, I lost track of time, but with Christina Peters, and she's been in the industry for many years, works out of LA. And, her big advice and recommendation is to assist photographers, and that's going to be like that on the job training is going to be absolutely invaluable, both from a business standpoint, but also depending on the photographer and the circumstances and situation. So it sounds like Gio's at that point where you've got a lot of knowledge, you've got a lot of skills, you feel confident, but now you're just like, I just want to see how this all works, and I want to kind of get a gauge on things, and offer your assisting services. And if you didn't get a chance to watch that video with Christina, I'd highly recommend it, because there's some real great nuggets that she shared about how you approach that process. But I'm right there with you, Ty. I mean, I don't have, my diploma is a counseling degree, which I think is actually super helpful in working with clients. But it's not a photography degree, and that hasn't stopped me or held me back.
I graduated from the School of the Hard Knocks. No, I'm joking. If you have a degree, please post it in the comments. If you're a self-taught, type self-taught.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's get those comments going.
Let's see let's see.
Paul
Gregory's got a great piece here. He says he has a degree in photography, and after 6 years of education, the real learning started when he graduated.
Yeah, because a lot of photography degrees don't teach you the business side. They're just teaching you composition, lighting, and that's great. But they're not going to teach you how to monetize it. A lot of them just don't. They teach you how to work for somebody else.
Go get a business degree. That's
correct. If you're going to get it, I tell that to everybody. If you're going to get a degree, let it be in business. You can learn the photography side. Get the degree and if you're getting money to take classes or take courses, take business courses. That is the best thing you do.
Coming into the chat here, self-taught all up in here. So
yeah, I get a whole lot of self-taught. My self-taught is I
He's got
need to
a
put
BA in animation. That sounds like fun.
that on the shirt. Self-taught, self-made, self-taught. If you brand of encouragement, another great question. If you had to start from the ground up again, what's one advice you would give yourself? That's deep.
That is deep. Well, I feel like Ty interviewed me for his podcast, and I feel like we got into that a little
We
bit.
did. We
You know?
did.
Is
Make
that
sure you
is
check
that
out that episode.
out? Is that coming?
That's out.
Oh, it's out.
It's out. Content and Cash is the podcast. Flash on Media podcast. Andre Woods, good looking out for the super chat real quick. But it's Content and Cash. It's out. It's available. It's the most recent episode. So make sure you can find that anywhere podcasts can be downloaded and anywhere you stream podcasts.
Yeah, we talked about that though, and the idea of if we could do it all again. I mean, for me, I'd try to doubt myself a whole lot less because it was me holding me back the entire time. It wasn't anybody saying, "Oh, you can't do this. You should." It was like me doubting my ability to do it. So if I could go back and tell myself, like, stop worrying so much, just go do the thing, you'll be fine.
I agree. For me, it was try not to do everything. I tried to do everything, and I spent a lot of money on the gear trying to. Well, if a customer want to come in and they want this, I got this softbox. If they want, no, figure out what it is you want to do specifically in this industry, and then buy the gear, buy the education, and learn about that. And it's something that didn't dawn on me until I had a bunch of people ask me, "What camera should I get?" I have no idea. I don't know what you're taking pictures of. I don't know what to tell you. It's kind of like saying, as a chef, what knife should I use? What are you cutting? Are you cutting cakes? Are you cutting fish? Like what to know once you decide on what you're cutting, what you're cooking, then I can determine or help you determine what tools you need. But if not, you're going to have a knife drawer with 50,000 knives and you're not going to know what to use when, or you're going to be overwhelmed. But if you're cooking, if you're making sushi, then you have a whole different set of knives and tools and cutting boards that you need. So figure that out first, because if not, you're going to be all over the place and you're going to get information that pull you in two different directions. You're going to, and you're going to spend a lot of time just confused and stuck. So figure out first, hey, I want to be a cake photographer. This is what I want to do. Then go and build your gear and build your knowledge and build the business side based on specifically what you want to do.
Yeah. And start with some like basic gear. You know what I mean? Like, cause I always say you really can't make a wrong decision when you're starting out. Like you just gotta, unless it's something outside your budget. Like to me, that's always the baseline. Like stick within your budget, buy what you can afford, and know that like you're going to figure out once you start to master that specific camera and lenses and gear that you do have, that then exactly you'll start to see, oh, I actually need a zoom lens because that is the kind of work that I'm doing and I need that flexibility because I'm shooting in restaurants and I'm running from portraits to overheads to, like that's what you're going to need, as opposed to somebody who's like, yeah, I'm just shooting wine bottles all day. I need a very specific thing, but you don't know until you start to dig in. So don't go spend, one of the most embarrassing things, I've never told anybody this, but when I first started, I was like, that sort of, I got to go buy all the things because this is clearly like, I'll see this person shooting with this. Obviously that's why they're good, right? Is because they're using this thing. And I still have it. I've got 2 different lenses. I was shooting Sony a6000 then, which is a great camera. But I bought a 50 millimeter lens and a 55 millimeter lens because somebody told me like this lens is great and this lens is great. I had no clue what focal length was. And so like I dropped, like $1,000 in lenses thinking that there was something wildly different, but they're practically the same freaking lens, but it's that anxiety and fear that you don't know what you're doing. And so you just go spend all this money as opposed to just stick with the kit lens, stick with the basic camera, figure out what you're doing there, and then inform your decisions from that point.
I used to make that. Oh man, I was big on that. Seeing somebody with some gear, like they're out shooting me because they got this gear and that gear. And I remember 2 times in my life feeling like that, being on both sides. One was being in school in the military, and I had a teacher that had, at the time we were just, if you had a 5D Mark II, like you were, and you had a lens that had a red ring on it, you had any L glass, you were it. And I'm like, that's the only reason why you're out shooting me. And he was like, look, I had a T3i at the time. He's like, give me your T3i. He said, we're gonna switch. And I was like, I'm about to get you. I got a full frame because I was shooting, crop sensor, thinking, well, full frame, my pictures are just gonna pop. And man, he whooped me with my own camera. When I got my camera back, I just looked at it like, it's capable of doing that. And he was like, it's not the gear, it's you. Now, once you get, to the point where you get really good with that and you start getting clients, then you can afford things that'll make it easier, but it has nothing to do with the gear. And later in life, as I was teaching a class and going out, I had somebody at a Nikon, probably a D300 or something, and they were like, you're just out shooting us because you got this gear. I was like, oh, I've been waiting on this. Let's switch cameras. And the same thing. She was like, I can't believe you got that out of this.
Your day game, man. That felt so good.
Yeah. I was like, it's on the memory card. You can tell people you shot it. And but it's all about you. It's and your understanding of light, more than the gear. And gear companies, they do a great job at marketing. You don't see Canon or Sony posting regular pictures. There's always mountains or something that's just mind blowing. And it's not really that the camera quality is that great. It's just, that's a landscape you probably never seen before. And it's captivating at the same time. You forget that the marketing is about the lens and the camera, and you're just like, wow, this is a beautiful sunset. Every time I point the camera at the sun, I assume that my camera will be able to take that. And you just have to be there on the 2 days of year where the sunset is that color in that hemisphere and that, on that beach to capture that image. And you don't think about that. So you think it's the gear.
I tell you, I've got a buddy though, and we are chasing, because Arizona's got some really great sunsets, and he and I go do some desert shooting from time to time. It's been a couple years, and we are still chasing the perfect sunset. So the day will come when our schedules align, sky does what it's supposed to, and we'll be out there. But until then, we'll leave it to the camera brands.
there was a guy that was shooting music videos that I really looked up to. And his camera of choice was a T2i, a Canon T2. Here I am thinking I need a red and this guy was shooting music videos that was coming on like BET and MTV. And he was using a T2i.
It's killer. I love it.
I still look up to him. He's a great guy.
That is the best. Let's see. Maybe if we do one more each of us.
Sure.
I love it. So Debbie wants to know, if you're just starting out, what's the best way to promote yourself on LinkedIn?
For me, you want to make sure you have your business page set up, and you want to reach out to people. Listen, my inbox is full of people from LinkedIn that are reaching out to me for insurance and things like that. Make sure I tell people all the time, the best business is being where people look. It's not going after people. Plumbers don't knock on your door. They don't say, hey, your pipes are good? Okay, they don't. However, when your pipe breaks, they are wherever you look. Yellow Pages, Google, wherever you look, that's where they are. That's the number one way to get business. People think you go after business. You don't. You allow business to come after you. So LinkedIn is a place where people look for companies. Make sure your company is there. Make sure you're established. Make sure your page has content. If you are a content creator and you're not flooded with content, you're not using content to help bring clients and customers in, you're doing something wrong. You're the beautician or barber with bad hair that's sitting there asking people to get in their chair, and they're like, your hair ain't right, bro. I'm not getting in your chair. So if you are a content creator, use that content to bring people in, to bring in clients. There's no better way to tell somebody that what you do work than to use it on them. So use it to your advantage, and make sure your LinkedIn is your LinkedIn page is ready to go.
And I would say too, put some thought into, and the same goes for your portfolio website as well, is making sure that you have got, as far as the About Me, the descriptions that you put on LinkedIn, your About Me page, all those places, that you're really thinking about what you uniquely offer in this marketplace. What makes you special, unique? Maybe it's special, like publications that you've participated in or awards or other things. Like, think of it like a resume, but also what's going to make you stand out. Because I read so many photographer websites where they say, I have a passion for fresh ingredients and colorful images. And, and it's like, yes, we all do. Now tell me what's special about you. You know what I mean? So if you are looking at your About Me page and that description on LinkedIn and you're like, yeah, this could apply to any other food photographer out there. Yes, food photographers love color and light and fresh ingredients. So like, let's get those off the table. Now let's talk about you. So take that advantage, take that opportunity so that when somebody does land there, they go, oh, this person's memorable. Oh, this person I can connect with. This makes this person stand out. So do that challenge for yourself. Just read that about me and go, oh gosh, that applies to everybody. Yep. And then redraft it.
and that's where a lot of people mess up, is because they do everything, nothing sets them apart. And they're just in a crowd of people that does everything. Even if you do family portraits, right? It's a lot of photographers that do family portraits. Do something uniquely different with your family portraits. Have them jumping in a pool, do neon colors, do black lights, do something that makes your family portraits different, and be the pool family portrait guy. You know what I mean? Be something. So when people look in that area, they're like, oh, that's different. That's not, in a sea of people that are doing the exact same thing, be different. Be different. I know guys that take pictures of, just animals, just dogs smiling, and they would like throw stuff at the dog and the dog eyes, and they would take a picture, and that's what they do. That's their thing. So when you look for dog photographers or animal photographers and you get regular guys and you see that, you're like, whoa, that's different. I like it. Even though it's more expensive, it's reassuringly expensive. It's different. It's the only place I can get it. So I'm going to pay whatever it costs to get it. So be different. Don't be afraid to be different. Stick to only being different. And things will be a lot easier for you. It's a lot easier to market. It's a lot easier to stand out. It's a lot easier to compete with the other guys if they don't offer what you offer. And that's the great thing about branding. And branding is trying to push how unique your product is. Their product doesn't compare to our product because they don't do what we do. Therefore, our prices are our prices. We don't compete with their prices because they're not doing what we're doing. So something to think about as you decide on what you want to do and your marketing. If you're different, it's a lot easier to market.
Yeah. And here's the good thing, right? Is even if you are creating images that look like a lot of other images and you're doing work that's in a similar vein of a lot of people, there's still only one you. And there are things that are specifically unique about you and the way you work and the connection you can build with people. And there's only one you. So really take some time to consider and think about what makes you personally unique as somebody, because a lot of the clients that I've worked with long term, they like the photos. That's great. But a lot of it too, I have to think has to do with the fact that they just like to work with me and that we have a good relationship. And so, feeling free to put yourself personally out there just to connect with somebody, I think is also a good thing.
Correct. I have a lot of people that just love, I have fun on set. I make it fun. And that's just my personality. That's just the people, my crew. We just have fun. We love doing this. Our minds are still blown at the fact that we're getting paid to do it. And we're just going to have fun on set. We're just going to have fun on set.
That's awesome. Like, you got one more over there?
Let's see. Black Magic Media Productions says, how do you know if the ads or the website isn't working? Okay, that's great. I can break down too, because there's two different things. If your ads aren't working, you aren't getting clicks on your ads. People aren't clicking on it. So the impressions are there. Wherever you're posting your ads can say, hey, 10,000 people saw your ads, 3 clicked on it. That tells me my ad's not working. To know if your website's not working is saying, hey, your ad had 10,000 clicks. We brought 10,000 people to your website and I heard from nobody. In fact, when I look at my bounce rate, people are spending 13 seconds on my website and they're leaving. They're scrolling halfway down and they're like, I'm out. That tells me that my website's not working. So that way you can go after the problem, because you can really break down and go after the problem, even on your website, depending on what platform, what service you use, to say, hey, people are only getting this far and they're leaving. People are only clicking on this page and they're leaving. What's wrong with it? Let's look at it. Let's change some things up. Let's do some A/B testing. But getting people to your website is usually it's about 50-50. I'm gonna be honest with you. The goal is to have a really good website, right? The goal is to have a website where I can get 5 out of 10 people to call me, and that's really abnormally high. It's usually around 3 out of 10. That way you spend less on marketing. You spend less on advertising, right? I only need to bring 100 people to my website to get 3 customers or to get 10 customers out of them. Out of 10 customers, my average price is, let's say for numbers, $1,000. So I know if I can get 100 people, if I can get my ad in front of 100 people, I'll make $10,000 this month. So when you get it to the point where you can do the math like that, it makes things a lot easier. But you want to always make sure your website is a closing powerhouse so that you don't have to get, because a bad website needs more people to convert more. It just is what it is. So you want to make sure your website has what it takes to close the deal and bring in more people. What anything you want to add to it, or any experience you've had?
I would just say though that above and beyond the website, because I've got a website, but I don't necessarily leverage it a ton. I don't do any paid advertising. To me, it's all about what we've shared in this series, Ty, that like the biggest bang for your buck to get, people on your roster and clients in your to-do list is creating content, sharing it, making those connections, reaching out to people just like we've demonstrated and done here. And so, maybe we haven't booked Pepperidge Farm today, but who knows where we'll be in 3 months, 6 months, what will happen long-term, or what referrals that will turn into. It's only upside. And so if you want direct impact, I'd say from a marketing perspective, what we've shared in this series is something you can bank on.
I totally agree. One last question that is kind of, we got to ask it. Oh, yeah. If you can work with one brand, this is brand of encouragement, looking out on the question. If you can work with one brand, what would it be and why? One brand.
It's a good question.
That's why I had to, I got to, I had to ask it.
What, do you know?
Oh, I know of, yes. Maybe. If I can work with one brand, if one brand called me up and say, I want to work with you, it would be Apple.
Oh.
Apple, for sure. Apple is it would be Apple, without a doubt.
Why?
Why? They are the definition of cool. They're innovators. They are just the end people. They are just at the forefront of technology. They are it. If they call me to work with Apple, I would be on a plane. We can talk about price when I get there. I don't care about, we can talk about the project when I get there. That is a company I would run to work with.
That is awesome.
I don't care if I'm taking pictures of coffee cups in the cafeteria. If they have an Apple logo and it's Apple, let's go. I would not miss that opportunity.
You know who I'd love to shoot food for? This is so squirrely. I think it would be so much fun to do the photography for Disney, like all the Disney food. I'm a big Disney fan. And so I think that like the access to the parks and like some lifestyle shots and the food, and access to Dole Whip, like that pretty much would seal the deal for me.
I actually had a shoot with Disney about 3 years ago.
You did?
I was down in Orlando and
did you get all the Dole Whip? No.
I didn't. I had access to a lot of stuff though. I was everywhere, so it was pretty dope. Yeah.
That's awesome.
My second company would be National Geographic, but that's a whole other.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah, there's a lot of editorial out there that I think would be really, really fun to shoot for.
Yeah. That's where I would go.
Well, you guys, we got some good ones coming in the comments. Gio would love to work with IKEA. We've got, Ben and Jerry's. Lightcast Media wants Ben and Jerry's. I highly support that.
Post your answers in the comments. I would love to post. Not only do you got to post the company, but you got to post why you would choose that company. I would love to read that. That'd be dope.
I love it. Oh, Daniel W., you're doing it wrong from the Facebook group. Good to see you. There's so many friendly faces here. This is the best part, right, Ty?
Yeah, I love it. I love going live. I do it way too much.
Names. I love it. Oh, Nat Geo. Coca-Cola.
Because think about Nat Geo will have you in places around the world that is like, you'll never get a chance to go. Ray-Van's visual say, I really appreciate you guys.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. This has been, we've gone over an hour at this point, Ty. We gotta let these people get back to work.
This is true. This is very true.
But I just want to say a big thank you so much to Ty for doing this project together. I know that I've walked away super inspired by what you do and have learned so much from you. And I'm excited for, the potential future of what we've created here. But thank you so much for including me in this. This was an absolute treat.
Thank you. You are the world renowned. You see, I make sure I put world renowned.
You said that. I was like, what are you talking about?
I appreciate the opportunity. If you have not seen part 1 through 3 and you're just tuning into this live, because I do a lot of lives, and on my channel, I got what's called the notification crew, where I just pop up and go live. Make sure you watch part 1 through 3 so you can see and understand everything that we've done in this free marketing hack that we gave you, this jewel that you can use to grow your business. And if you blow up and become a billionaire off this, just give us a shout out.
Just a little love. And I have to say something real quick. Thank you to CRP Media for the super chat. Ty had told me about super chat. And I think this is the first time I'm seeing it. So thank you. Yeah. Thank you, CRP Media, for that. I appreciate it.
Much love. Much love. Anything else you want to tell the viewers before we clock out?
Well, I'm actually going to be live again here tomorrow, hanging out with Kimberly Murray. She is a product photographer. She's like kills it at the flat lay game. She does a lot of really cool, interesting work and interiors. And we're going to talk about finding your signature style and really honing in and staying true to that. Because, we try out a lot of different visual styles, and it's all about doubling down on what works. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow, and that's at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern.
Early. I'll actually be live too, a lot later in the day, 7 p.m. Central. I'm usually live every Tuesday at 1 p.m., Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'll let you guys do the math on that, but I'm live twice a week. Plus we drop videos. And then if you're in the notification squad, if you hit subscribe and hit that notification button, I may pop up on a Saturday night and go for 2 hours and just have your notepads and everything ready, because I'm gonna make sure you're good to go once you leave that live. You'll have a lot of stuff to go back and be like, oh, I got to do this. I got to implement this. So those who subscribe to the channel know, you just read the comments. I bring it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much to everybody who's joined us live here today, for hanging out with us, spending time together. It's always a treat and a joy. So with that, I think we're signing off, Ty.
Definitely make sure you still post comments in the comment, because we like to come back and read and answer questions. Follow us both on Instagram. You can follow me at Flash Film Academy. You can follow her at The Bite Shot. Not shop, but shot.
That's it. That's right. Hit me with your best shot.
That's right. So with that, we will see you all later. See you in the next video.
Amigos.